Hello, welcome back to another video. In this video, I will be doing a brief walkthrough of the AS and A Level 2021 syllabus. Okay, we'll jump right into things and let's start with the table of contents. And as you can see here, I've underlined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 little sections that I will be going over with you because the syllabus is quite long. It's about 32 pages. So I don't want the video to be too long. So I'll just be I'll be going to point out a few important things that I would want you to know. Okay, but I do definitely encourage you to, if you have the time, go through each section because it may definitely be helpful when it comes to your studying strategy. Okay, so we'll start with this over here, the content overview. Okay, and this section here just gives you a very global idea of the AS and A level program in comparison to O levels. What stood out for me in this section is that when you do go through the AS and A level program, you're going a step deeper in the English language than you did in O levels. So you still have the reading and writing components that are present. So here, yes, reading a wide range of text, and then also being able to write for different audiences and different types of text. But also with A levels, what I notice is that there's an analytical side. So you have the study of linguistics, focusing on language change, child language acquisition, spoken language, English in the world, and language and the self. So you definitely go more in depth when it comes to English. Okay, and here also I noted the skills that you will be able to develop if you go through with this program. So sustaining accurate, fluent, and consistent writing, producing informed responses appropriate to the specific form, style, context, and audiences, conveying knowledge and understanding from both specific examples and wider studies. Okay, and they also say that these are highly transferable skills and may help learners in other subject areas, as well as equipping them for higher education or employment. Okay, so basically, if you're thinking about taking the A-level program, then whatever you do learn in this program is definitely going to be helpful when you do pursue higher education or even in employment, because in general in life, especially in the world right now, English is a dominant language. So the things that you learn here are transferable to real life. Okay, now we'll move on to the assessment overview. We have paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and paper 4. Okay, and for, let me delete this. And for this A-level syllabus, so the one that applies to 2021, 2022, and 2023, I've noticed that there are quite a few changes, notably for paper 1, paper 2, and paper 4. Okay? For paper 1, starting this year, the candidates answer 2 compulsory questions. So 2 compulsory questions meaning 2 mandatory questions. So question 1 in section A and question 2 in section B. So for paper 1, you have 2 questions that are imposed and you don't have a choice but to answer them. In the recent previous years, so you had 3 questions. You had question 1 that you absolutely had to answer, so it was a compulsory question. And then you had a choice between question 2 or question 3. Okay, so here in the little rectangle red, this was the past, how can we say, this was the past layout, and then now the layout is different. So question 1 and question 2, just 2 questions, and you have to answer them, right? You have 2 hours and 15 minutes, and paper 1 is out of 50 marks. Okay, and then now for paper 2, which is a writing, focused on writing, candidates answer 2 questions. 1 compulsory question from section A, and 1 question from a choice of 3 in section B. Okay, and in the past, so you had section A and section B that had 3 questions each, and you had to choose 1 question in section A and 1 question in section B. So you had the choice of 2 essays, 2 texts that you would write. Okay, but starting this year, you are imposed an essay, a text to write. So for section A, you do not have a choice, but you do get a choice in section B. Okay. You also have 2 hours to complete this, and there's 50 marks. Now moving on to paper 3, language analysis, you have 2 hours and 15 minutes. And this paper 3, I compared to the recent years, and it's the same layout. So you have 2 compulsory questions, question 1 in section A and question 2 in section B, out of 50 marks. Paper 4 there are a few changes in paper 4, language topics. You do have 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you answer 2 compulsory questions, each on a separate topic area. Question 1 in section A and question 2 in section B. So again, here you do not have a choice. And as far as questions that you have to answer, 2 of them are imposed. Okay, and in the recent past years, you actually had 3 questions, and you could choose any 2 questions to answer. And paper 4 is out of 50 marks. So each paper is out of 50 marks. 3 of them, paper 1, paper 3, and paper 4, you get 2 hours and 15 minutes. As for paper 2, you only get 2 hours. And another thing to note is if you're only going to do AS level, you only have to do paper 1 and paper 2. But if you're going through the A level program, then you have to do all 4 papers. Okay, and another thing that I find important to note is over here you have 3 routes for the AS and A level program. So AS level, you have paper 1 and paper 2, as I said, and you take your exams at the end of your years. So it's the same exam series for both. Okay, and for the second route, it's A level route. So it's staged over 2 years. Year 1, at the end, you do paper 1, paper 2. And then year 2, at the end of year 2, you have to complete paper 3 and paper 4. Okay, and the third route is an A-level route as well. And the difference between route 2 and route 3 is that for route 3, you have to take all 4 papers at the end of the 2 years, I assume. Okay, over here we have more information. AS level route will be eligible for grade A to E. Okay, so you can only get A to E. And candidates following an A level route are eligible for grades A star to E. Okay. Over here we have the assessment objectives. and there's 5 of them. And after reading them, divided them in in two ways. So it's either a reading objective or a writing objective. And I found that there's 4 of them that are reading, and one of them that is writing. Okay, so the first one is read, demonstrate understanding of a wide variety of text. Okay, so this kind of reminds me of O-level. So just being able to know the difference between descriptive, argumentative, articles. What else do we have? Reports, right? So just different texts. Be able to recognize them, their structure, the language that is used, all the little details regarding language style, structure. Objective 2, write effectively, creatively, accurately, and appropriately for a range of audiences and purposes. Okay, so this is a writing objective, and they would want you to be able to write appropriately. So for this one, it's if you're writing a letter to a family member versus writing a letter to a teacher or maybe even a president or prime minister, it's very different, right? So make sure that your writing is appropriate to the audience and the context. Okay, writing effectively, so making sure that your sentences have a nice structure, everything flows, that you also don't go beyond writing limits and you keep things concise and clean. Creatively is also making sure and being conscious of the fact that markers, they read quite a few papers, right? So whenever you have a writing task, I would advise you to just think about what can I do to surprise them or give them something that they may have not seen before. Okay, accurately is grammar. You don't want to make a lot of grammar mistakes, especially during writing tasks. Okay, and our objective number 3, analyze the ways in which writers and speakers' choices of form, structure, and language produce meaning and style. Okay, so this one is important as well. This one is more in regards of so when you look at a text, the language that someone uses and their particular style, how do they speak? Is it more with what's the tone? What is the tone like? The length of sentences, and do they use a lot of metaphors or hyperboles? So and how does that impact the reader, right? Okay, so what does the writer do? So through their words, you analyze how they impact the readers. Okay. And our objective number 4, demonstrate understanding of linguistic issues, concepts, methods, and approaches. So here we reach a more analytical side of things. Okay. Understanding of linguistic issues. This makes me think of in past papers, paper 4, when there's a there's a text about English language in the world, right? So linguistic issues, just as a global language, also child language acquisition, so how people develop in terms of English language, how they express themselves. So this is more of really an analytical objective, so you're really going deep into things. Okay, and objective number 5, analyze and synthesize language data from a variety of sources. So again, This is another analytical one. So you have to analyze, so dissect, really look very closely at the language that's being used, and synthesize language data. So synthesize language data is combining language data from a variety of sources. Okay. And over here, I appreciate the fact that they gave this table, because this is all these two tables, sorry. I think they're very useful for you. They give you insight on how you should approach your studies for ASA level. Okay, so here you see you have a breakdown of the weight that each objective carries in both programs. And here the thing that really jumps to my eyes is the objective 4 and 5. So the very like in-depth an analytical side is not too well, it's not at all right, it's not at all really relevant for AS level. You're focusing more on the first three objectives, okay, and mainly the second one. So if we remember, the second one is writing, so it's slightly more focused on, just slightly. Reading is still very, actually no, I'm sorry, I'm making a mistake, because you have 15 plus 40, right? So 15 plus 40, 55. So actually reading is these two reading components here would be more heavy weighted for AS level. And then the weighting in A level as well, you have that here. Okay, it's useful, and then it goes more into details, and it really, this table here shows you the weighting paper by paper. Okay, so this is very insightful, and I think it's before you study, it's important to take a look at this and understand. Okay, just like here, if I can show you another example quickly, objective 2, which is writing. Right? Write effectively, creatively, accurately, and appropriately for a range of audiences and purposes. You know that is pretty much a big component of paper 2. Okay, so for paper 2, your writing needs to be impeccable. Okay. And here in this section, so subject content, I think that these few little sentences really also are very insightful. So it tells you here, paper 1, candidates are primarily assessed on skills and techniques related to writing. Okay, so paper 1, reading. Clearly, I can't read today, so it's reading. Okay, primarily reading. Paper 2, primarily writing, which is relevant in this table here. Okay, and we keep going, scrolling past a few details here. Okay, don't want to bore you too much. So here we have paper 3 and paper 4, and our sentences here let us know that paper 3 primarily focuses on skills and techniques related to analytical reading. Okay, so paper 3, that's when you really have to go very deep into things. Okay, and paper 4, the emphasis is on discursive writing. So discursive writing is informal writing. So discursive writing, you can think about transcriptions. Okay, and also don't forget that our objective 4 here. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll back up a little bit. Our objective 4, if you remember, objective 5 is analyze and synthesize language data. Sorry, I'm getting confused for a second. So our paper 4, we have objective 1, objective 2, and objective 4, yeah. Objective 4 is so understanding linguistic issues, concepts, methods, and approaches. So it's still very analytical. So what I'm trying to say here is that both paper 3 and paper 4 are actually, it's heavily analytical, okay? So you need to, for these two papers, really go deep into stuff, okay? And over here in the next section, another little tip that I would like to give you, I think that as a student, what I would do is the details of the assessment. So this section here that I'm not going to go through with you because it's quite long, but I do definitely advise that you maybe take a bit of time to go through this section here, because what it does is it actually goes through each paper, a section by section, question by question, and it brings out the objectives. So where the objectives, objective 1 to 5 would apply within each paper. Okay, so I believe that is all I have for you for this video. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know below in the comment section. Please also give this video a like if it helps you in any kind of way. And I really do hope that my explanations make some sense. And of course, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. And I hope, as always, that you have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, depending on where you're located in the world. Okay, and I'll chat with you soon.